A brand new A24 film is here, and this time it's a Civil War movie. A new film by the famed production company A24 and by the famous director Garland, who in recent years has made a lot of fresh new films like Men from last year and this year's Civil War. He is having a good track record, and I hope he continues to make these cool, interesting films. I was able to check this out a couple days ago, and I fairly enjoyed this film. I was a little skeptical going into it that it would be a bit, one-sided or politically, this way or politically that way. For me, I don't really care about that stuff, and I don't like when the movie is so politically heavy. I don't like when it's picking one side or the other. For me, I don't care. I just want to see a good film, and I'm happy that I was able to do that. This movie wasn't about the left versus the right or right versus wrong. It was more about the American people versus the American government, and I thought that was a cool way to take on the process of a civil war. The whole movie is shot through the perspective of these press people, these people taking pictures and writing articles about the war. While I do wish we got to see more of the frontline action with actual civilians in the army or, people in the military or the president, I do think this is a cool change of pace from most war movies where we get to follow the press, because we got to see the frontline action but from a different side. Instead of seeing it from the people fighting, we're seeing it from the people taking pictures. So that was a cool take. I thought it would be a little bit weird, but I actually didn't have an issue with it at all. I thought it was interesting to watch. The characters that we follow along are pretty interesting characters, and I like the camaraderie they have, and I like the way that they all work together, and the way that the movie kind of plays with their different, emotions, and plays with their different personalities, and creates this group that we follow along. While watching it, it reminded me of one of my favorite movies, which is Zombieland. I felt that the group in Civil War really reminded me of the group in Zombieland, but, instead of fighting zombies, we're going through an American Civil War. That was a cool thing for me, because, like I said, that's one of my favorite films. More into the positives of this film, I saw it in Dolby IMAX, which I know does differ from people who just saw in regular theater, but the way that they mixed the sound and editing in this film was crazy. Every time there was a gunshot that wasn't expected, I jumped in my seat. I was not ready for it. I was not prepared. It was so loud, and then you have the music playing well, and you can hear every line. I just think the mixing was awesome. If you haven't seen this movie yet, I'm pretty sure it's still in Dolby IMAX theaters, so go see it like that. It needs to be seen that way if you're going to see it. More positives, I thought the acting was really good. I liked all of the characters. Yes, the one character, she's like the main girl, kind of the sort of. She's like the up-and-coming press photographer. She has a big liking towards Kirsten Dunst's character, who is this established press photographer, and she wants to follow in her footsteps, so she comes along for the ride. In my opinion, she can be a bit annoying at times, but I think that is how the character is supposed to be played, so I can't give anything against the actress in that sense. She did a good job with that. This is the first time where, no offense to Kirsten Dunst, but I've seen her in a movie and she wasn't the most annoying person on screen, so good for her on that. I mean, my experience with the Spider-Man movies, and I can't stand Mary Jane in those films, so sorry to Kirsten Dunst. Good job winning it over in this film. Another positive is the way this movie was shot and filmed. When you see the action scenes or you see the war scenes, it's truly devastating and it truly sticks with you. There's people in my theater turning away or cringing at what was happening on screen, and I think for a war film to be effective, that has to be how it is. You don't want to watch a war film and everything seems fake or nothing seems real, because it doesn't make the impact it's trying to make. This movie is about a real topic, a civil war, and there's a lot of unrest in our country right now, and I think it's showing people hey, people who joke around, oh, there's going to be a civil war, this might happen, that you really don't want it, because this is real, war is real, and it is brutal, and it is gruesome, and you do not want this. So I think a war movie that can show that and put that thought into your head does a good job. As far as the script and the story of this film, I think it was solid. I like that it was towards the end of the Civil War, and the whole thought process is that the civilian army is going to take over DC on the 4th of July, and they're going to assassinate the president. And these journalists want to get there and photograph and interview and write about the president before this happens. I thought that was a cool way to take the story, and I enjoyed watching their journey through the front lines all the way to DC. One thing I do wish is that the story was a little more complex and showed a little more. I know I always say on this channel I love simple stories, and that is true, but part of me wanted to see like the beginning of the Civil War and different people's perspectives besides just our 4 main characters. Yes, you can focus on these 4 characters, but you know, show a couple scenes here and there we're seeing other perspectives, because I felt like I missed out on a lot of what was truly happening in this Civil War. Getting into my negatives, and it leads right into this with the story and the script, is that almost everyone who I saw this movie with walked out kind of confused at the end. And the issue with that is, like I said, you start off towards the end of the Civil War, and you're not really shown who this side is, who that side is, who's fighting who, and why they're fighting who. All you see are the journalists. All you see are the press people and their story and their journey. And so, at the end, when the Western forces take over the DC and the White House, you're kind of confused as to who is who. Who is in the Western forces? Who is protecting the president? Who wants this? Who wants that? What are they fighting for? Who is fighting on screen? Both sides of the army were wearing the same uniforms. I have no idea what's happening during that fight. Towards the last 5 minutes, I finally was able to piece everything together and explain to other people who couldn't understand it, like, oh, this was the Western forces of Texas and California, and they were fighting the U.S. government, which was based off of this, like, FBI and the military, or actually the FBI was disbanded in this movie. That was one of the reasons they were fighting. They did say that. But, like, the CIA, the military, I finally was able to piece all together, but for me to watch an hour, 45-minute long movie and not know who is fighting what side of the war until the last 5 minutes, that is kind of a big issue. And because of that, I think it will hurt my overall rating, overall score for this film, because how can you have a war movie where no one knows why there's a war being fought? Yeah, we get it, it's a civil war. Yeah, we get it, they're going for the president. Yeah, we get it, they don't like the president's ideals. The states and the people are fighting back against the government of the country, but still, I think you could have fleshed out that script a little more. Overall, like I said, the acting is good. The cinematography is beautiful. I love the different scenes and the different areas we get to see of US as we go on this journey. I think the sound editing, the sound mixing, all of that was beautiful. And I think Alex Garland has done a great job with this film so far, and he has a great career ahead of him. However, I just think that the story wasn't fleshed out enough. It needed more to it. It was just missing a little bit of something. And that's why I have to give this film a 7 out of 10. Like I said, it is a good film. There is good aspects of this film everywhere. My one complaint is that the story is not fleshed out enough. And in a war movie, when you're trying to see the different sides of the war and who's fighting who and what they're fighting over, that is quite a big issue. Thank you all so much for watching my review, and I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to my channel. I want to thank all of you who are here today for 200 subscribers. It really means a lot, and I hope that one day in the future you guys watch this video and say 200. He's came a long way. I'm hoping that happens. Like I said, race to 500. We're going to do a giveaway there. Continue to support. Thank you so much and have a great day.